Federal Register, Volume 85, Number 140, Tuesday, July 21, 2020. Notices. Department of Commerce, International Trade Administration, A 588-869. Diffusion-Annealed, nickel-plated flat-rolled steel products from Japan. Preliminary results of the Anti-Dumping Duty Administrative Review, 2018-2019. Agency, Enforcement and Compliance, International Trade Administration, Department of Commerce. Summary. The Department of Commerce preliminarily determines that the producer-exporter subject to this administrative review made sales of subject merchandise at less than normal value (NV) during the period of review (POR), May 1, 2018 through April 30, 2019. Interested parties are invited to comment on these preliminary results. Dates: applicable July 21, 2020. For further information, contact Ian Hamilton or Tara Keaton-Stefanova, AD, CVD Operations, Office 2, Enforcement and Compliance, International Trade Administration, U.S. Department of Commerce, 1401 Constitution Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20230. Telephone, 202-482-4798 or 202-482-1280, respectively. Supplementary information. Background. On July 15, 2019, based on a timely request for review, in accordance with 19 CFR 351.221 C.1.I, we initiated an administrative review of the anti-dumping duty order on diffusion-annealed, nickel-plated flat-rolled steel products from Japan for one company, Toyo Kohan Co., Limited. Toyo Kohan. In January 2020, we extended the preliminary results of this review to no later than May 29, 2020. On April 24, 2020, Commerce told all deadlines in administrative reviews by 50 days, thereby extending the deadline for these results until July 20, 2020. For a complete description of the events that followed the initiation of this review, see the Preliminary Decision Memorandum. Scope of the order. The products covered by the order are flat-rolled, cold-reduced steel products, regardless of chemistry, whether or not in coils, either plated or coated with nickel or nickel-based alloys and subsequently annealed, for example. Diffusion-annealed, whether or not painted, varnished or coated with plastics or other metallic or non-metallic substances from Japan. Products subject to the order are currently classified in the Harmonized Tariff Schedule of the United States (HTS-US), subheadings 7212.50.0000 and 7210.90.6000. Although the HTS-US subheadings are provided for convenience and customs purposes, the written description of the merchandise subject to this scope is dispositive. Methodology. Commerce is conducting this review in accordance with Section 751 of the Tariff Act of 1930, as amended the Act. Export price is calculated in accordance with Section 772 of the Act. NV is calculated in accordance with Section 773 of the Act. For a full description of the methodology underlying our conclusions, see the Preliminary Decision Memorandum. The Preliminary Decision Memorandum is a public document and is on file electronically via Enforcement and Compliance's Anti-Dumping and Countervailing Duty Centralized Electronic Service System (ACCESS). Access is available to registered users at http://access.trade.gov. In addition, a complete version of the Preliminary Decision Memorandum can be accessed directly at https://enforcement.trade.gov/frn/summary/japan/japan-fr.htm. The signed and electronic versions of the Preliminary Decision Memorandum are identical in content. A list of the topics discussed in the Preliminary Decision Memorandum is attached as an appendix to this notice. Preliminary results of the review. As a result of this review, we preliminarily determine that a weighted average dumping margin of 1.28% exists for Toyo Kohan for the period May 1, 2018 through April 30, 2019. Assessment rates. Upon completion of this administrative review, Commerce shall determine, and U.S. Customs and Border Protection (CBP) shall assess, anti-dumping duties on all appropriate entries. Pursuant to 19 CFR 351.212 B.1, we calculated importer-specific ad valorem duty assessment rates based on the ratio of the total amount of dumping calculated for the examined sales to the total entered value of the sales for which entered value was reported. Where either the respondents weighted average dumping margin as 0 or de minimis within the meaning of 19 CFR 351.106 c. 1 or an importer-specific assessment rate as 0 or de minimis, we will instruct CBP to liquidate the appropriate entries without regard to anti-dumping duties. The final results of this review shall be the basis for the assessment of anti-dumping duties on entries of merchandise covered by the final results of this review and for future deposits of estimated duties, where applicable. Commerce's reseller policy will apply to entries of subject merchandise during the pour produced by Toyo Kohan for which Toyo Kohan did not know that the merchandise it sold to the intermediary, for example, a reseller, trading company, or exporter, was destined for the United States. In such instances, we will instruct CBP to liquidate unreviewed entries at the all others rate if there is no rate for the intermediate company, i.e. involved in the transaction. We intend to issue instructions to CBP 15 days after the publication date of the final results of this review. Cash deposit requirements. The following cash deposit requirements will be effective for all shipments of the subject merchandise entered, or withdrawn from warehouse, for consumption on or after the publication date of the final results of this administrative review, as provided by Section 751(2) of the Act. 1. The cash deposit rate for Toyo Kohan will be that established in the final results of this review, except if the rate is less than 0.50% and, therefore, de minimis within the meaning of 19 CFR 351.106 c. 1, in which case the cash deposit rate will be 0. 2. For previously reviewed or investigated companies not participating in this review, the cash deposit rate will continue to be the company-specific cash deposit rate published for the most recently completed segment. 3. If the exporter is not a firm covered in this review, a prior review, or the original less than fair value (LTFV) investigation, but the producer is, then the cash deposit rate will be the rate established for the most recent segment for the producer of the merchandise, and 4. The cash deposit rate for all other producers or exporters will continue to be 45.42%, the all others rate established in the LTFV investigation. These deposit requirements, when imposed, shall remain in effect until further notice. Disclosure and public comment. Commerce intends to disclose the calculations performed in connection with these preliminary results to interested parties within 5 days of the date of publication of this notice in accordance with 19 CFR 351.224b. Interested parties may submit case briefs no later than 30 days after the date of publication of this notice. Rebuttal briefs, limited to issues raised in the case briefs, may be filed no later than 7 days after the time limit for filing case briefs. Parties who submit case briefs or rebuttal briefs in this proceeding are encouraged to submit with each argument 1. A statement of the issue, 2. A brief summary of the argument, and 3. A table of authorities. Case and rebuttal briefs should be filed using Access. Note that Commerce has temporarily modified certain of its requirements for serving documents containing business proprietary information, until further notice. Pursuant to 19 CFR 351.310 c, interested parties who wish to request a hearing must submit a written request to the Assistant Secretary for Enforcement and Compliance, filed electronically via Access within 30 days after the date of publication of this notice. Hearing requests should contain 1. The party's name, address, and telephone number, 2. The number of participants, and 3. A list of the issues to be discussed. Issues raised in the hearing will be limited to issues raised in the briefs. If a request for a hearing is made, Commerce will inform parties of the scheduled date of the hearing. An electronically filed document must be received successfully in its entirety by Access by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the established deadline. Commerce intends to issue the final results of this administrative review, including the results of its analysis of issues raised in any written briefs, not later than 120 days after the date of publication of this notice, unless the deadline is extended. Notification to importers. This notice also serves as a preliminary reminder to importers of their responsibility under 19 CFR 351.402 (f) to file a certificate regarding the reimbursement of anti-dumping duties prior to liquidation of the relevant entries during this review period. Failure to comply with this requirement could result in Commerce's presumption that reimbursement of anti-dumping duties occurred in the subsequent assessment of double anti-dumping duties. Notification to interested parties. We are issuing and publishing these results in accordance with Sections 751 (1) and 777 (1) of the Act. Dated July 14, 2020. Jeffrey I. Kessler, Assistant Secretary for Enforcement and Compliance. Appendix. List of topics discussed in the Preliminary Decision Memorandum. I. Summary. 2. Background. 3. Scope of the order. IV. Discussion of the methodology. V. Currency conversion. V. Recommendation. FR Doc. 2020-15728 filed July 20, 20, 8:45 a.m. Billing Code. 3510-D, SP.